Gratitude is a game changer. We have been talking about being present on the journey and how important it is to do that. And yet I often find myself feeling like I put my head down. I am slogging uphill. I'm not even looking at where I'm going. I'm not actually on the journey anymore. I'm not appreciating it. I'm not present in it. I'm so fixated on either what's up there or something that is going on around me as I'm on the journey that I stop being on the journey. And I am amazed at how often that happens, as well as amazed at how simple something like gratitude brings me back to enjoying the journey, being present where I am, being more aware of what if I'm fixated on something, what I'm fixated on. When that happens, I feel like everything inside of me calms down a little bit. And I just feel a little bit more peaceful. And there's a lot more enjoyment that suddenly shows up. And the one example that comes to mind is when I was living in London. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I did not have a lot of money. It wasn't the easiest thing to do. There were lots of great things about it. But I don't know how many years into living there, I realized that I was just slogging. You know, my head was down. I was slogging uphill. I wasn't paying attention anymore. And I was constantly kind of irritated and overwhelmed by all the things I had to do. And I just had this moment of going, man, it kind of sucks that I'm living here. And I'm just so unhappy with the things that are hard in my life right now. And I had a moment of realizing that and then inviting gratitude and going, I am living in London. It was at night. I was on my way home from work and I was sitting on a double-decker bus and I was sitting on the top level of the double-decker bus when this happened. And I just remembered having this moment of being like, wow, I just want to look around and actually be grateful for where I'm at, for the fact that I live in London, that I moved over here, that even though I have no money in my bank account at the end of the month, I live here. Like I'm doing this. I have a job. I'm paying my bills. I have friends. I'm doing this thing. And all of a sudden I looked out the window with awe. It felt like being a little kid again, where you're seeing something fun and exciting for the first time. And I felt that way. And when I felt that way, it felt like every frustration and overwhelm just kind of calm. I wasn't denying the fact that those challenges existed, that it was hard to live paycheck to paycheck, that I wasn't always sure if I was going to have enough money to do the things I wanted to do. But I was able to be present with where I was at and to enjoy and appreciate it. And it was gratitude that allowed me to be aware to some degree of all the wonderful things that were in my life that I loved and appreciated, as well as, you know, continue to be aware of the things that were hard and keep going on the journey and enjoying it.
Well, and present with the journey.
Yeah.
It's to not just because you're going to keep going, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You just keep going. But the difference in the appreciation and your enjoyment of going is when you allow yourself to tap into that. You tapped into the gratitude and then it's like, oh, yes, I do love this. Even though it doesn't mean all the frustrations are gone and that you ignore them or that it replaces them or that you do the kind of, I hear things about the kind of the false positivity where it's like, we're going to just pretend everything's roses. It's not all roses, but that doesn't mean I can't be grateful for what I do have in the midst of the other things that are challenging or difficult.
I wasn't trying to bypass my reality. And giving myself fluffy platitudes. I was genuinely feeling grateful for the good things that I had in a way that allowed me to, as you said, to be on this journey. You gave an example of the same thing but different, which I really liked. Would you share a little bit more about your experience with something similar?
Yeah, so it's always fun because Rebecca and I will chat before and we're like, oh, what do we want to talk about today? And sometimes it'll feel like what we're bringing up is so opposite or so different. But we'll both look at it and we're like, I think this is the same thing, but from very different perspectives or very different experiences. So this morning, one of the things I was processing was some decisions about business, was some things about life. And it just kind of dawned on me that I have been looking at my life recently as my business and my work and my business. And even though obviously I have lots of other elements of my life, for whatever reason, I have allowed the business piece to define kind of everything almost. And so whether I consider myself a success is whether or not I posted every day, or whether or not I accomplished the things I had intended to accomplish that day or that week, whether I have made a new contact or whatever the various things are around business, right? Lots of different things. And yet, so much of my current season right now, business stuff gets derailed on a regular basis because I'm a full-time single parent. And I have two 12-year-olds. And I don't know anybody else that's got two 12-year-olds that is just living the life of bonbons, but I suspect most of you have got some amount of intensity if any amount of kids. And I was just like, business is part of my life, but it is not the entirety of my life. And I spend a lot of time, my kids are important to me. And even though I have thought very much about how important my kids are and how I'm intentional and they're one of my priorities, for whatever reason, I've allowed the business stuff to just be, this is the entirety of my success or failure.
Right.
So in that moment, it was just like, wait a second, business is part of the life, not business is the life. Like, so here's this element, here's this element, here's this element. And I was frustrated actually today because I was late. And then something had happened with one of the kids. And this internal thing was going on in me. It's like, do you sacrifice some of the business stuff or do you sacrifice some of the stuff for the kid? Like, which one's the most important? And I don't actually know. But I chose that moment to just be with my child. And I chose to sit with them, to be present with them, and to listen to them and let them tell me all the... And I don't know, it was very freeing. The recognition of the business is not the entirety of my life it almost felt like the moment in the bus where there was this little pause prompting awareness that was, wait a minute, there's more. There's more here. There's more to this. And recognizing that there's more to my life than business. There's actually more to my life than just my kids and my business. Yeah. There's more than that. And allowing myself to begin to see it as my life is this amazing, beautiful mosaic. And I can fit in pieces. That doesn't mean that those pieces are all the priority all the time. Right. And some of them move around. I know Rebecca and I, you could look up the stuff we've done, where we've talked about the what if workshop and recognizing the big things in your life during a season, but really allowing yourself to tap in to what's going on in you, what's going on around you. That for me is freeing. And it feels so cliche because I know Rebecca and I talk about the pause. It feels like we're talking about the pause a lot, but it's because so often we get so caught up, like the hamster running on the hamster wheel has to get off at some point in time. But somehow I think we humans will push ourselves and we'll keep pushing. We keep kind of ignoring. And it's almost like the hamster just staying on the wheel forever.
Yeah.
And I think we can fall into those habits. Obviously, I catch myself in them, but how good does it feel to take a step out from that and step back and zoom out a little tiny bit and just look at my life and be like, oh, yeah, okay, I can be present. I can do this. I can still go do the things I need to do. I'll have another conversation with my kids, and maybe the next time the business stuff will get more priority and I'll do longer there. But the kids will be in a place where they're like, yeah, Mom, that's great. You go do your stuff. They're okay. They're happy with their stuff. There's nothing going on for them, and that's all right. So I love that. Just the gratitude of where we are. And I think for me, part of that gratitude is also the acceptance of when things don't look quite the way I had envisioned. And when you talked about being on the journey and kind of slogging through, I think sometimes I'll get so fixated on this level of success, or if I do this thing, then that means I'm whatever definition I've made up for it. And that kind of moment of actually, no, this is success.
Yeah.
This is a success. You're still doing business stuff. You're still working with the kids, but you're equipping two small people to have a healthy relationship with themselves, with others, with their own emotions. You're letting them process those things. Like, that's really important. And there's no do-over for that part.
Yeah.
So just allowing myself to be, okay, it doesn't have to be all this stuff. Like, I'm a power walker up the mountain, because I'm not.
Right.
I'm a plotter.
Yeah. When you first were talking to me about that, I think it just really struck me how easy it is to take one aspect of our lives and have that one aspect become all consuming.
Yes.
You know? And I struggle with that as well. And in the example when I was in London, I was very fixated on the things that were very, very hard and had lost sight and track of the other things in my life that were really good. And I also, in this season of life, will get fixated on what's up there. As in, I'm going there and nothing is good until I get there. Once I have achieved that, then things will change. Then things will feel good. Then I'll be happy. All of a sudden, the internal turmoil I'm dealing with will go away. And I personally think that that is incorrect. My experience hasn't been that that's true, because my experience is when I get there, many of the things that I was kind of blocking out, I'm on the slog, don't look at the things, they're still there because I didn't spend time looking at them while I was on the journey. I was so focused on making it somewhere there that I lost sight of the awareness, the gratitude, the enjoyment of being present. And I find that oftentimes when I think I'm going to be grateful for the journey and I'm going to enjoy the journey, part of me thinks that means that everything is supposed to be good. For me to be grateful, for me to enjoy the journey, everything is good. And that has not been the case. I am not sure that that's ever been the case. You know, we were even talking about the fact that I'm in the season of life in which my life is good, but I'm dissatisfied. So here I am, my life is good, but I'm dissatisfied.
Yeah.
So even in that, there's this dichotomy, this difference between what I'm expecting at the top of the mountain that I'm slogging up versus what I'm actually experiencing. And I find that when I pause, when I bring gratitude, when I bring awareness to what's going on, I am much more likely to actually have the enjoyment.
Yeah.
To have the very thing that I'm fighting so hard to achieve with me here and now at the same time that I'm experiencing the other things.
Yeah.
You know, and you're giving that concrete example of business and children, parallel practicalities in which, you know, I'm torn between these parallel practicalities, and yet the reality of my life is they do exist in parallel. It isn't one or the other, and it's okay for my attention to move between them and to give my children more time one day, to give my business more time another day. I don't need to measure my success by whether or not I'm only achieving in business. So
as you were saying some of that, it really struck me. One of the words that kind of was coming to me even earlier was the gratitude helps you connect. It allows for the reconnect. Yeah. And I think that kind of what you and I are both describing is the disconnect. So we get so fixated on something that we're disconnected from what's happening in the here and now, what's happening in me right now. It becomes disjointed because all my energy is out there and I'm looking for something out there. You made a comment about if I get to this spot, or if this just thing happens, or if you're in relationship stuff, like if this person will just do this thing. And it's like, actually, no. Oftentimes what we need is the moment to connect in with ourselves, because we are only going to be satisfied if we've dealt with our own internal world, if we've dealt with how we feel about this distraction or this one, or the fact that you broke down on the trail and you might be irritated with yourself, or just that it's happening, or we can have all these ideas, and yet allowing ourselves to be present fully with our own self, with the world around us, the things we love, it actually allows us to begin to be more intentional because then you can begin to curate what it is you want to surround you. And it's so much more fun. Even though even though you may have the really hard things, Rebecca, some of the things you've said just kind of continued this idea of those. There's no scenario where everything's going to be perfect in my life and everything's going to be only the good stuff. What if I stopped being so worried about some of the unpleasant stuff and was able to just be more present with myself? Because, I can tolerate those unpleasant things so much more easily.
Yes.
When it feels like I'm connected in to myself and I'm aware of my surroundings and I can enjoy it or maybe be miserable for a little bit, but still where it's at.
Well, and we talk about being present. Sometimes being present looks like being present with what's miserable.
Yes.
And I think we're often scared of that. But the more that I give myself permission to do that, the less scary it becomes.
Yes.
The more that I'm actually sitting with what's really uncomfortable, what's painful, what's scary for me, the more opportunity I have to heal from that thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying go wallow in it without any help by any means.
Or don't stay there. Don't stay there.
You don't have to stay there.
Yeah.
There are great tools out there to help. There's people like us there to help. There are licensed professionals out there to help. You don't have to do things alone.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's worth saying, well, I'm going to be present, but I'm only going to be present in the good things, because that doesn't work. Our lives don't work that way. And being present in our uncomfortable situations, in my experience at least, has often led to some of my biggest breakthroughs, because I sat with the scary thing. So that gratitude, that awareness invites connection. And I think that the connection allows us to enter into continuing to be fully present on the journey. I mean, if the journey is a lifetime, in an ideal world, each of us get a beautiful long lifetime. But even if it's a short lifetime, if the journey is a lifetime, then it's not just one day, it's not just 1 month, it's not just 1 year. So I don't want to miss out by not being present on the journey and getting to my end point and realizing, wait a minute, where did my whole life go? So we invite you to be present, to connect, to be aware, to have gratitude, to enjoy your life, even the hard bits, because they all make up the journey that you're on, and it's worth it.
It's tapping into those moments in between, as well as the ones that seem like the big ones. And Rebecca actually has a blog post about that one, snapshots, I think, in between, something like that. And just recognizing where we are. So we invite you, as Rebecca said, to be fully present and to really allow yourself to take a moment and connect into gratitude and the things that you appreciate that are around you without ignoring whatever else you might be dealing with. Like, we're not saying turn a blind eye to that, but allow yourself to find something that you are grateful for, because it will bolster your spirit. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Bye.